Hey Northside, it's Mr. Buclair, and today we are going to be solving systems of equations using elimination. Um, and we're looking at cases where things they're not canceling out quickly. Um, we've had the easier ones where the numbers were the same, so it was just easy, something right away. But looking at these two equations, I noticed that nothing um, will cancel right away. So I need to think. I'm going to look just at my x's here. I have a 15x on the bottom. What times 5 on the top would be the opposite of a positive 15, which would be a negative 15. So I know that 3 times 5 is 15, but I need it to be a negative 3, right? Because one has to be a positive, one has to be negative, and the bottom's already positive. So I need to make this top a negative. All right, so then I'm going to multiply each one of these. Okay, so negative 3 times 5 is a negative 15x. Negative 3 times 6 is a negative 18y. And a negative 3 times 12 is a negative 36. Okay, and now if I'm looking at this, um, just by looking at this, I know that my x's will cancel, so I can make this my addition problem that we've talked about before. And my x's will cancel out right away. I have a positive 4, and I'm subtracting 18. So that's going to leave me with a negative 14y, right? Equals, on this side, I have a positive 8 and a negative 36. So I'm left with a negative 28. Okay. Yeah. So next thing I need to do, I have a negative 14y. Remember that when they're smushed together like that, it's times. Okay. So the opposite of times is divide. So I'm going to divide both sides by negative 14. So I'm left, my 14s will cancel on this side. Left with y equals a negative negative. It's a positive 2. Okay, so y is 2. Now what am I going to do with this y? I'm going to take this, I'm going to plug it into one of my original equations. So just looking at the top, I'm just going to plug it into that top one. Okay, so let's go. So my top equation was 5x plus 6. Now, instead of the y, I'm going to take this 2, I'm going to multiply that in right here. Okay, equals 12. All right, and so I have a 5x. I need to get this by itself. So how do I get a 5x by itself? I need to get rid of everything else. First thing I need to do is take care of this parentheses. So what's 6 times 2? It's 12. Okay, and I can bring everything else down. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do, like I said, I need 5x by itself. So I need to get rid of a positive or a plus 12. So I'm going to subtract 12 to both sides. Okay, those are going to cancel. I'm left with 0 equals, and I'm going to bring this down, 5x. Okay, divide by 5. So x is going to be 0. Now remember, writing our final answer, it's always x comma y. So what is my x? My x is 0. Okay. And my y is a positive 2. Okay. Let's look at this. Say you didn't choose the x's, you chose, so look at the 6's first, or I mean, not the 6's, the y's first. Okay. So basically, when you did this, you thought, well, okay, 6 times 2 equals 12. All right, then I also had 4 times 3 equaling 12, right? Okay, so what you're going to need to do, right, knowing that, is one of them needs to be, I'm going to pick the top, right? So that 6 is, instead of a 6 right here, I'm going to make this a negative 12. So, and it was 6 times 2, so I'm going to make this a negative 2. So the top one, I'm going to multiply the whole equation by a negative 2. And then bottom one, I had the 4 and it was times 3, so I'm just going to leave that because I want it to be positive, so it's going to be positive 3 to the entire equation. Now, let me get this out of the way. Okay, like I said, I'm going to distribute the negative 2 to each one of these terms. Okay, so I have a negative 2 times 5x is negative 10x. Negative 2 times 6y is a negative 12y. And 12 times a negative 2 is a negative 24. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing with the next one. 3 times 15, 3 times 4, and 3 times 8. So 3 times 15 is a positive 45 x. Okay. 3 times 4 is my positive 12y. And then 8 times 3, sorry. And then my 8 times 3 is 24. Okay, so I'm looking at these. What I noticed right away, these will cancel out. And at the same time, this will be equal to 0 now. okay? I have a negative 10 and a positive 45, so I'm left with 35x equals 0. Now divide by 35, divide by 35, anything divided by 0 is, so x equals 0, okay? Now, I'm taking that x, I'm going to plug it in one of my originals. I'll just, like I said, I'll choose the top one. Just seems easier. So instead of the x, I'm now going to put the 0 in its place. Okay, 5 times 0, 0, right? So I'm left with 6y equals 12, right? Going to divide by 6. So 12 divided by 6, y equals 2. Okay, and remember, how am I writing this? X comma y. All right, so my answer is going to be 0 comma, oh, come on, 0 comma 2. That would be my final answer. Okay, if you noticed, it doesn't matter which one you solve for, that both works out the same. So thanks. Hope you enjoyed it.